I would have to say the most common phrase I hear men say when they enter my marriage mastery program is, Josh, I wish I knew this months ago. I wouldn't be going through this right now. So often, men miss the top signs that their wife gives them that she wants divorce and separation. If you fail to notice these signs, you're guaranteed towards a path of separation, pain, and anguish. So in this video, I'm gonna give you the top 9 signs that your wife is eventually gonna leave you, causing separation and divorce. Oh, by the way, sign number 9 is all based subconsciously on this type of photo that you have with your wife, so stick around for that. Before Kyle came into my marriage mastery program, he was married to his wife for only 7 years, but in the first 7 years, they would fight at least once a week. And then one weekend, his mother-in-law came over to spend a whole week with the family. And across the whole time, he never got along with his mother-in-law, and they would always fight and argue. And then one day, his wife said,
you know what? Fine. I'm not gonna try to get in between you two anymore. I'm done with that.
And in the coming weeks, his wife would just let things go more often. She wasn't fighting. And to Kyle, he thought, wow, my wife is, she's matured, she's grown. But this was actually the first sign that she wants to eventually leave him. You see, the opposite of love isn't hate, it's indifference. So oftentimes when a woman stops fighting and stops wanting to have conflict with you, it means she no longer cares and she's preparing to leave you eventually. After a few weeks of not fighting, Kyle thought everything was great with his wife. The mom-in-law left, and then his wife came to him and said, I want to go to Vegas in a couple weeks for one of my friend's birthday. And then a few weeks later, it was going to Tahoe to go skiing. And then it was going out every other weekend with some single friends. And at first, Kyle thought that was a little weird. Maybe she's just trying to relive her college days or she's getting older. But ultimately, this is the second sign. When a woman starts going out more, she's buying more clothes, she's losing weight. What's happening is that she's subconsciously or even consciously preparing for the single life. One weekend when his wife got home, they hooked up 4 times in the next 3 days. Kyle even then was like, oh my gosh, this is great. I love her going out. Maybe she gets turned on when she goes out. She wants me more. But actually, this is the hidden third sign that your wife's eventually gonna leave you. You see, if your wife starts having less sex with you, that's pretty obvious that things are falling apart. But when your wife starts having more sex with you, that's actually a hidden sign that she wants to leave. But why is this? I spoke with lots of wives and girlfriends who've broken up and been divorced, and they said sometimes they'll do this because they want to see if there's any emotions left with sexual connection. So often they'll try to have sex more and more and more, and if there's no emotional connection, it's just bland and there's just something missing during the sex, it's kind of vapid and empty, that reconfirms in their mind that it's about to end. So far at this point, Kyle was like, we're fighting less. Yeah, she's going out a little bit, but we're having more sex. This is great. Little did he know that his wife was gearing up to leave him. And then came the next sign. Then one day, Kyle heard something that really confused him. He heard his wife talking in another room with her best friend. And she said, yeah, I'm about to quit my job. I'm looking for other jobs, interviewing right now. And for Kyle, this really confused him because they always spoke about their careers. And then to hear something about his wife that was so monumental that he's just now finding out, he was just shocked. So Kyle asked his wife, he said, Sarah, why don't you tell me about this? And Sarah simply said, yeah, I just didn't think about it. You see, when your wife's making an emotional disconnection before the actual physical disconnection, she naturally just stops telling you things about her life because she doesn't see you as that close guy anymore. A few days later, Kyle's wife, Sarah, got the job promotion. She started making more money and working later hours. Now, one thing about Kyle and his wife is that they always slept together. No matter how angry they were with each other, they always went to bed together and cuddled. Then eventually, Kyle's wife started sleeping on the couch. When he asked her why, she said, well, I was just late at work, I was watching TV and I just passed out. Don't worry about it. But actually, this is the next sign. Oftentimes when your wife is actually switching her sleep schedule, she's subconsciously trying to avoid you, trying to avoid emotional and physical connection because that pillow talk is really close and it opens up a lot of emotional things and she'd rather just avoid the whole entire conversation. The 6th sign that Kyle noticed is that even though his wife was at work sometimes late, on the weekends when they would normally do things together, she was constantly on her phone. She was just texting in the corner, sometimes hiding her phone, and he was wondering what is going on. He would ask her sometimes, she said, oh, I was just on my Instagram, I'm creating this side business for, developing these purses and this jewelry. She wanted a side business. And Kyle thought, well, that makes sense, but you're on your phone a lot. And he started to get suspicious and his intuition was kind of going off. So then Kyle thought to himself, you know what? I'm gonna create a date. I'm gonna go out with her. We're gonna do something fun. We can always have fun together. It's something we've always done. So across the course of the next 3 weeks, Kyle invited her out to go on dates together. But every single time, she wanted to invite another couple or a friend. At first, he thought, okay, fine, we can have something as a friend. I want to say that you can if you want to bring your friends and family or whatever. But however, this was actually the next sign. You see, Sarah was constantly, purposely avoiding one-on-one time with Kyle. And then Kyle also noticed on those dates when they would go out together, she would normally laugh at all his jokes. You see, one of the things that Sarah fell in love with Kyle about was how funny he was. But all the jokes that he had, all these tools to make her laugh, she was no longer reacting. And she was laughing a lot more to the other guys and girls there. And then they all got together and they took a photo. And this was the nail in the coffin to prove that she was eventually going to leave him. You see, in that photo, it's what's called the lean test. Now, most often, when a woman is leaning into a man, it means she looks up to him and she's more reactive and she's in her feminine state. However, when a woman is standing straight or leaning away from the guy, this is a subconscious signal that she doesn't respect the guy and she eventually wants to leave him. So if you look at your photos yourself, if your wife at times in the beginning of your relationship or your marriage, she's probably leaning in toward you. But over time, if you see photos of yourself when things are falling apart, she's standing either straight or pulling away. And if you're leaning in, it means you're more reactive and you're more needy. And that's the 9th sign that eventually she's gonna leave you. And that's when Kyle eventually came to me. Now, what I helped Kyle do is I helped him understand these 9 signs and the core issues about why his wife was really leaving him. You see, a lot of couples think it's relationship issues or money or the church or all these things. But the truth of the matter is that he failed to meet her core level needs that all women need to be happy in a relationship. Once you can identify those core level needs and produce tools and habits and communication strategies to meet those needs daily, you start to produce more positive emotional investments and your wife comes back toward you again. If you want a chance to understand those core needs and why your marriage is falling apart or your relationship is falling apart, click the link down below right now, set up a free call with my marriage evaluating team. What we'll do in that free call is we'll assess your marriage and give you an action plan on how to save it in the next 7 weeks. Thank you for watching the video. Smash like, watch this video right here, and I will see you in the next one. Cheers.